Outdoor lifers, welcome back. I'm just coming from the deer woods, cleaning up my last couple of shooting lanes. I know I should be doing that in the spring or the summer, but I'm just getting into it now. Probably a lot like you. But I was thinking, with us now being back in our stands, in our blinds, I thought maybe I'd put together a compilation of the bucks I saw last year. So I've taken all that footage that I had from last year. I didn't shoot any, but I put it together so we could all maybe pass some time as we sit up in the deer woods for the next couple of months. So without further ado, take a watch. All my bucks from 2024, and here's hoping that a big buck's out there for you. Right on. This was a cool one. I was sitting in the blind and all of a sudden I look over to my right and there's a buck standing there. And I had to scramble to get the video equipment on the buck. And in doing that, I wasn't able to make an assessment of the buck. And as you can see here, it's a nice buck, solid mass in the antler, nice body. I'm thinking 3.5, maybe 4.5. And if I could do it again and had more time, the rifle would have been probably put up. So that's how this works this time of year. Again, it's the start of November. These bucks are out cruising and seeking. We had never seen this buck before. He was new to us, new to me. And again, other than this clip, I think I have him on camera once or twice for the remainder of the season. So it just goes to show you, always be ready, because you never know what might pop out. Anyways, beautiful start to the season. Beautiful 8-point. The young 8 or tiltback. What a neat buck. He had just popped out of the bush here, and I'd been filming 6 or 7 does, and he jumped out of the bush and started to kind of make his way across the field along the bush edge, and that's what you're seeing here. He spent probably a solid 15 minutes in the field overall. So here he's coming out of the bush. Is he chasing that deer? Maybe. He's got his nose down. It's always cool to see. He's very attentive. There's lots going on. Some of my favorite footage of 2024. As you can see there, that's probably a really good picture of seeing that this buck is young. You know, not a huge neck. Shoulders still aren't totally developed. You can see that going into the hind, the stomach is up. There's no sag to it. You can really see it when he moves. He's about 45 meters from me here. Nice white antlers. We've got him pegged at 2.5. And this buck was present almost every sit, pushing does around, bullying other younger bucks at the feeder. You name it, he was doing it. Was not afraid to daylight at all. Got lots of footage of him, but this was by far my best footage. It's in the wide open field where there's no food, just out doing what deer do. So he pushed that one doe as he came out of the bush, and then he worked kind of the field. What's always interesting to me in a wide open field, and this is a big wide open field, is the buck uses his nose more than he uses his eyesight. And although you can't see it, there's 6 or 7 does around. Most of them moved across the fence line or up into the bush line. You can't see that in my video footage, but the buck knows that those animals are around. And what's interesting to me, he's got his nose down. And what is that? Is that because he's using his nose to find the receptive doe, the doe that can be bred? It's just all very interesting to watch. Up and comer, nice rack, nice and wide. You'll see here why we call him tilt back. Boom, there it is. Look at how tilted back those antlers are on his head. It's very, very interesting. When you see it straight on, you can't really see that tilt, but that's part of what makes every buck unique. He's gonna jump the fence here in a sec. Take a little bathroom break. You'll see movement here up in the bush just above him. There's a doe. There you go. You can see the movement. It's the legs walking. You'll see her dart across here. Yeah, there she goes. Anyways, he spent about 10 minutes back in the bush here, and then he reappeared down the field, which you'll see in a sec. Cool fence jump. It always blows my mind how easily deer can scale fences. Awesome to see. So this is where he comes flying back out of the bush again downfield, and he was kind of moving pretty quickly. Got on a scent, stopped, and then he quickly moved along. I don't know if he was on this scent or if something had spooked him in the bush line, but he made his way out of the field, and he was gone for that day. So this guy, Spike, little fork, so I called him the F Spike. He was out and about all the time. Young deer, 1.5 years old, is my guess. Healthy deer, and quite aggressive actually. He wasn't really afraid of any of the other bucks. We'd see him at the feeder location, and he'd push other bucks around, or definitely not really be all that afraid of them. He'd run the does and fawns, does. Just aggressive personality buck. Beautiful coloring on him. Got really nice white patches around his eyes and at his nose. This was a really cool experience. Again, I filmed this deer multiple times, but I'd say this is the best footage I got of him. And what's really cool is I've never seen this before, and you'll notice in a second, but there's a fawn or maybe a yearling doe out in the field, and the yearling doe submits to him. I've never actually seen that. I've seen it on video. You can see here he's grunting. I don't have the sound, unfortunately. He's about 150 meters away, but he is grunting here, which is really cool. I love hearing that in an open field. And as I said, this doe, which will come into the picture soon, submits to him. Now, he doesn't breed her, but it was a very interesting thing to capture on film. You'll see it here in a second. You see her laying down? It's very interesting. I thought something else was going to take place, but she popped out of there, and he kind of got his attention onto something else. I'm still not too sure what. You always love when a deer starts to focus somewhere else and hope it's something with a big set of antlers, but that wasn't the case. He ends up working the field for about 5 minutes, and I just always love watching these deer. They're just so beautiful to watch. I've got my camera on a monopod, and so when I'm zoomed in, any little turn can put the deer out of the viewfinder, and that's why you got some bobbing, because it's on uneven ground in the blind, and so that's why you see sometimes the panning and the kind of shakiness. It's because it's not on a fixed thing. So F Spike, as we call him, works the field here, nose to the ground. as I've said in the first few clips of the other bucks, again, lots of seeking, chasing activity. Um, and in all my time hunting the last 10 years, I haven't seen a lot of this. So this actual hunting season was really really enjoyable that way because I saw the behavior that you see on the hunting shows or when you watch documentary on deer. These are the things you see. So I was really soaking it in, really really enjoying it. I know it's a lot of time to spend on a spike or a fork, but the footage was just so clear and crisp, and the deer actually worked himself to about 10 meters from me, which I always love when they get that close, especially when you're sitting on the ground. So like I kept the film rolling, and this part might be a little bit long for everybody, but I just get so amazed watching these animals. I think they're so beautiful, and it's always very interesting trying to figure out what they're thinking and what their motivation is at the current time. If he's got the genetics of some of the other deer in this area, I think he's got a chance to be a nice deer. Already got some nice brows there on the spikes. And if he's a year and a half year old for our area, this is a good antler growth in that first year. Seeing spikes that are much smaller. He's got a good body on him. Looks extremely healthy. So here he's about 30 yards, 40 yards from me. Meters, sorry. So here he's probably about 15 meters. Maybe he's getting close to the 10. He works his way right across the blind here, which is so cool. Now this was a super cool experience. I saw some movement back in the bush and got the camera up and voila, there's two bucks sparring, and I've seen this a couple times, but never was able to get it on film. So this was really cool, and it actually got my heart going because I had two really nice mature deer, and just based on the horns flashing, I really thought it was one of the bigger deer fighting, and the heart definitely got going. I thought I was going to be in a situation where it was time to get the rifle up, but it ended up being the one of the younger eights that I've seen the last 2 years, sparring with basically a tiny little spike. And again, it's kind of the year of these aggressive or fearful or fearless, sorry, spikes who would take on the world. Again, as they pull away here, you can see there's not much for the, I guess it's a fork, but for the fork really to fight with. He's not got much antler up top. I was very enthused watching this though, and again, every time the larger antlers would flash, I really thought it was one of the bigger deer that I was after for the year. Um, I'm playing it back, and then when I saw them come apart, I obviously identified the buck as being one of the up and coming eights, but still some cool footage. You can see here their attention is being drawn to a doe that's out in the field, and here you go. The younger buck says, "Let's go." This is some really cool footage. So now the younger deer is going to push this deer all around the yard here, around this open field. You saw one deer kind of go back in the bush. The larger deer is back by the rocks, and now this guy's going to bound around and push this doe around. Really cool footage. It's fun to watch them bound. Here's where the bigger buck, the up and coming eight, says, "Hey, I got to get involved here. You can't take my tail." So they work their way kind of out of the field where I can't see them. And then about probably about 5-10 minutes later, the younger buck comes back in and comes right to the food pile. Light colored buck. Pushes them off. And it says, "Do I want to eat or do I want to chase?" Chooses to eat. So this is a little later in the season, but pretty cool view here. Of course, we've got snow, and so it's a little easier to pick up the deer. This is low light, very low light. I actually have my camera in low light mode, and so anytime there's movement or anytime I move the camera, there's going to be a lot of blur, and that's simply just because you've got it in low light mode, and so it's wide open, and so it can't catch movement that well. But anything still, it actually does a really good job. If I had a normal camera here, this would be all dark. You wouldn't see it at all. So pretty cool. This is actually my only daylight footage of what we called the Promising Nine up and comer. As I said, I had two kind of up and coming deer. The 8 that was sparring and moving that deer around in the previous video and or previous clip, and this deer here, which we called the Promising Nine. Um, and they typically come in after daylight. This night it was just in that last 5 to 10 minutes of legal shooting time. But he's on the no hit list, and it was just fun to see him come and join the other deer here. Again, a couple spikes also around on this evening. The point of this footage is just again to give you a picture of some of the encounters I got to experience. And this food pile here, the carrots and the apples and a little bit of corn, are about 30 yards from my stand here. It's an enclosed stand. Not too sure what's happening here, but maybe a mistaken identity. Brushes it off like it's no big deal. As you can see, it's getting darker. To the naked eye, you wouldn't even be able to see these deer like this. It's now past legal time, but I thought I'd just continue filming and get some good shots of him. And there you can really see his width and what his antlers look like. If you go back to the other 8 pointer that was sparring, his antlers kind of sit higher off his head, where with this one they kind of sweep out right away after they leave the pedicle. So just nice looking at different deer. I always enjoy it. All right, so the Cool 8 is back again, this time in the snow. Came out close to the end of the night. And again, very similar. He's cautious, checks the scene. He's also with the doe. So, he might not want to come in if she doesn't come in. But I always find the bucks are the last into the field, and they're always so tentative. They're so cautious. Starts to make his move in. Nice to see the snow on his head. Little stomp, another stomp, another one. Again, they always know when I'm there. Well, maybe they don't know, but something's off. Beautiful deer. Great up and comer. I really hope he's around this year. Scent checking. The waiting game. Such, such a beautiful animal. It's nice how that antler sticks out against that snow and that brush. Amazing this weather doesn't phase them one bit. I'm freezing by this point. Doesn't like it. Gonna turn back. Go back to his doe. See her back there. Little snack. waiting for daylight to fall. We'll commit when maybe that scent's gone, or with the safety of night, staying afar, chewing on this natural browse. Wants to get in there though. There's other animals, plus there's corn and carrots. Still very, very interesting watching these animals do their thing. They camouflage so well into the cover. Without those antlers, you'd hardly know that deer is there. Scared himself. So this is a bit darker now. Again, low light feature on the camera. The doe decided to come in, so of course he's going to follow. He knows something's off though. I find it very interesting that the bucks will follow basically the scent trail of the doe versus just cutting them off. It's extremely interesting to me. Why not close the gap by cutting them off, and yet they follow that same path? Ladies first. They didn't do much more than this. An absolute jaw dropper. Carrot came right out of his mouth when he saw it was walking in. I didn't actually clue in for a little while. What should I do? Yeah, I think I'll back away. Look at all the deer. All the deer are very attentive to what's happening. Deer are getting out of the way, and boom, there he is, the king of the bush, the Big Ten. This deer showed up to my property 2 days after the season was over. I caught him on camera, and he came in every single day in the daylight, in the morning, in the afternoon. They know. They know when hunting season's over. He came in, everyone, he had everyone's attention that was in the field. Just look at him. Look at the body. Sagging belly, sagging back, big rack, big neck. He came in pretty quick. You can just see the size difference in large bucks and big bucks. They're just huge. Scent checking. You don't get big by not being smart. Very symmetrical rack. Beautiful deer. Stares them all off. It's hilarious. I wasn't sure if there was another large deer that he was staring down or what. But as you can see, there's something that's got his attention. Such a big deer. I was so excited that he came out. It was such a nice night. There's a lot of deer out. It's always fun. Look at that rack. So nice. But I was so caught up in the number of deer being out. And when I look back at the video, it was very obvious that something was coming because every single deer was looking back in his direction. It's hilarious that one deer dropped the carrot. I think that's hilarious when I, again, replay the video. It's things you don't notice in real time, but in playback, you definitely see these funny things. I wish I'd actually caught him coming out of the bush earlier. But yeah, just look at the size of that deer. Again, no weapon. The season's over. I just had to get out and get some film of him because he was just such a beautiful deer. Symmetrical rack, big. I did want to see how big he actually was, and you know, by this video, you can see how big he actually is. Deer want to eat, but they also understand I'm not going to screw around with this guy. He's big. Doesn't look like he's very mean, though. Again, it was starting to get dark, and so I don't film him for much longer. Definitely loves the carrots. Such a beautiful deer. Again, I hope he's back this year in 2025. So cool. So what'd you think? Which one would have you taken? Which one was your favorite? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. So that was the 2024 deer season. A lot of bucks, a lot of awesome interactions and opportunities to film really cool things. How about that Monster 10 at the end of the season? They know, right? They know when it's safe to come out. I saw him 2 days after the season was over for the first time, and then he came out every single day. I think that was about 7 days after I was sitting. I said I had to go out and get him. The first time I went out, I got to film him, and it was such an awesome interaction. He owned that field, and it just goes to show how big these animals get and how majestic they really are. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope your deer season's going well. I'm wishing you all the luck. No matter what you do, get outside. Bye now.